Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Your courts no are congested, but tribunals no is not the way to go. Ade bibi ehunhuna obi ana said yen.
I think it's funny. Maybe so we hear Dr. Bawumia public speech or whatever he calls it, and I think he has been in the dark for quite a long time now. I see a voice, so he just need to say anything at all.
Oh, sir.
But maybe I rise and I think it will be good, sir. Obenya good researchers, yeah, good work. Dear mano, into Babontina or Kasa, you don't speak from a realm of ignorance. Na ungu and because in some now cannot factually no any basis be a. You can't tribunal, and yet something I French like. Every baby and I import it into our judicial system. If I take you back to 1979 Constitution and I won, sir, I think that is the third Republican Constitution. Your friends said tribunals like part of your court hierarchy. And I transition to 1992 Constitution. So when 1992 Constitution, I had the Constitution, I can't bo man, 1992 Constitution. It's almost 80 to 90%. Composition of the previous Republican Constitution and they form it this particular way. And in say put 1992 no together no. I had the tribunal system no so called Article 126 court hierarchy na ya set isi ho no. E kan ho bi. But when bill way babon say no Parliament take into consideration say you can't tribunal and nam say military time no man for use tribunal de ye nema bi man for free san kwenti no there is that scare I want man for mu enti Parliament say omo de sa mra we I don't know whether you've read the memorandum now I accompany this particular bill. I have a copy here. Say what kind of memorandum now say omo take into consideration concerns raised by Ghanaians about say you can't your friend is saying tribunal na invoke a certain negative passion be among Ghanaians and I'm saying I'm making sure that this particular bill is refined within the context of the 1992 Constitution, within the context of your friends Act 29, within the context of Act 30, and any other law be a will chrome her. I'm making sure say the human rights as guaranteed. Your friends saying chapter 5 in our Constitution, you know, purely ingrained obiantimi nyusu tribunal bia quotate ade pa fa hodie so and that assurance no they can give us. And again we opposition party and now we will be na say bill babon na we dissatisfied that's fine, you see, but you know sometimes you need to activate intellectual arguments say ya nipa betimi agina anya bibia agina so aka bia ma wo because and some na oka no he could not point to a single line what the new bill no okay say me crossway me way ya. So when you bring such a conversation then you activate an intellectual conversation, an intellectual debate. Or say your friend is saying tribunal na be ma ho kwan ma manfo a omonya dan omonya lawyers akodi amanfo asem. That is not true. Let me read the provision from the 1992 Constitution country. Or say so 142(4) na I say a person shall not be appointed to be a chairman of a regional tribunal unless he is qualified to be appointed as a justice of a high court. So what are some of the no? Is it something I can just say kofa your friend say ya kofa kwani bi oti the baby so media assembly. And let me tell you, so what kind of Constitution Article 125 now a vested judicial authority in the judiciary in the NASA forum now or can't share about public participation in the offense in the justice dispensation in this country. And the existing system now you know. Are you aware say public now can a part of it? A teacher for can farmers can mudi assem especially in criminal matters. Your jury system, you are aware. I know the day the judge will deal with the law and the jury will deal with the facts. So I know the day, you know, the judge will explain your friends emranu to your friends a jury no we Ghana for munya lawyers, you know, based on the fact no what you know, then they will bring either the person is guilty or not. answer never can say obi akunipa ye jaili no and yet judge and the ruling by a Ghana for and the band is we are vice president. We are trying to say why a vice president now per president Eddie. Now you the microphone basis we didn't can same way. I just say you are ignorant. You understand? So I think sometimes and I make us say better research will help him to appreciate all the scope of this particular argument and do raise here, then you can pontificate every a section way of this bill. Say, let me free say. So when that argument becomes an intellectual conversation, then we can go on and interrogate those things. But when the argument, the criticism, no, ye vague, a border on emotions. A border on past hearsay. Yeah. Now we are not taking into consideration baby embranu free ba. And the problems is coming to solve. For me, I think say okay, court na. The court, the entire procedure, you digitalizing no. Yes. Baby, I disagree. And baby, can't say I just say will be typing and answer for it should be a recording device. I translate it automatically. So maybe the court exactly you can transcribe without in your phone. Sometimes you need to wait and you know delay process, you know. Yeah. But aside that, you know, the entire court process they are digitalizing, no. But it doesn't take away the fact that there is a huge backlog. Sa oral cases here you can Ghana for Sibubomi. Do you know the reason why? Because there is a backlog of cases. You do what over court to be just the next 3 months. National Service Board Chrono when was the last time any of them went to court? Because court na yedim ponchini mirichira sem no the same court na yedi ora for asem won't even kopama obi say eduru me so a line a wudi so enti the tribunal system no new. It is already in our constitution. Our constitution now provide enough room, the scope and everything. All that parliament will have to do is to confer jurisdiction on the cases and what case as on betanase. So it's not a new thing. Mete sanke a new thing. And then parliament there bank makacho almost say among factor that particular thing into the new your friends constitutional review committee. Nema no more can wasem na yenhwe. But this is something deeply rooted in the heart of your friends saying your constitution, especially in the judiciary, or the court hierarchy now, or more, your friends saying superior judicature, no, we know, or pecan lower wine now. The tribunal system, a part of it. Watch there, no more qualification. Nema we are entitled to everything about the tribunal has been dealt with by the constitution. And here is a catch. So what the bill the bill no must be your friends are so frame within the prescription of the friends the constitutional provision. You cannot do it in excess of the powers and as allowance are constitutional created. And this will be free say emrana eba no parliament are created in excess of its powers. And now say any of the provision therein contravene any of the provisions there are options available. Ukan article 2:1 of the 1992 constitution magana ni bi hu bia ho kwan say so we free say emrabi yaye na 1992 constitution ni bo bra obetimi akọ Supreme Court through article 130 obetimi invoke the your friends the interpretative your friends jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Ama either they will render it null and void. Yebe tuogu and oh hey history ma Supreme Court tutu mbra bebira tuogu. And some we opposition now war concerns that these are areas abetimi akabara until so be raise those arguments no never emotional and not say and you are not making any reasonable conviction and so can be a man is just based on hearsay. For me, I think that is irrelevant.
So Ivan, all argument say
okay.
And you say ABA bill no
problem dabi
we were
dabi
nina ye
they say that yes and parliament and I make say he should take his time and read. Parliament in the memorandum no are dealing extensively with that particular kind of saying stereotype. Yes, that stereotype. The Parliament I can say they are aware. Say they call so in the past into Ghana tribunal when the bad team and for that particular reason, you know, you're dealing with. I'm not sure about Bawumia can yet. And the camera cause seen anyone there. No answer or kagum sakake. You see, baby no makase teteno na man for rely on emotions ya their politics and then oba a man for the nyansa to hold the ruler to ho asem na wo kan nyansa ni mebebo to agu it doesn't matter say confirm no che na eka and answer why na eka wo kan nyansa ni nyansa ni and asem na wo kan pure emotions and obi a who seek to lead this particular country no you shouldn't be speaking from an arena of emotions. Speak to the fact. For instance I will bill na ye kana you know kwanya efa so a bill eba so free parliament eba meboa.
Yeah.
At the committee level and near money where both sides of the political aisle are coming together, deliberate. They have a constitutional committee as far when it comes to issues. So them run eba obiago.
And I learned to say even committee level no.
Yes.
Both parties they all sat through.
Oh, very often you may even have some of them try by the other side and as for them. And the deliberations and it is the responsibility of party, or rep. To inform. So in case Adibi you call committee, nasa wani nye huwa. Quickly, you relate to your party. No one start to protest through Chile because ebia meka nobody want to agree. This is our frustration. So fighting it in parliament, the political party at the back and also raise that particular alarm. That was how smart the NDC was when they levy and those things. That is why they were able to spark a nationwide way. No, but they are not smart about some of these things. So we are dissatisfied. One transema maranu me. Now what can I say? Your friends are mentias here. When and yami mama na kwatena mu timbi o political party timbi enti air costo o contribution they saying emrana babontia we are then you make noise. At the end of the day, nobody will take you serious because you see, Anna, we are politicians, you also have to be very smart. Do you know why? Because you read the atmosphere. Sisi ejina hai Ghana need the open say obiya kwada jelo. Omo mfa ho se kangaroo court or whatever. And so if you think you can use emotions to activate a conversation, Ghana will take your side. Oh boy, they're expecting more people to go to prison at this time, but they are not seeing. And this is a president to be promises or the tribunal be by the best speedy at the processor. For the average Ghana, they don't care whether they've gone through the process or not. What are some American? Yeah. So that emotional analysis, will not avail to your favor. That is why you need to be smart and strategize the communication in such a way. Say, what for a provision in the bill? Yeah. What can say way a contravening with this? Where I say, and now you can dwell the conversation on that. Now, why are the cameras see with him and I 1992 and then is it not a fact that you're caught, a packed, a choked?
He has
exactly. And digitalizing it has already been digitalized. You know, I'm chroma no na digital. I say you're digitalizing, but in as much as yes, money, court processing is still choked. Yeah. And it's a regional tribunal, so on about appointed more judges. Now you are tenacity on this to bring speed to some of these things. And for me, I think that is a good news because you see, idea about define your politics in a regime of accountability. Regime of accountability. And that can only be effective when the courts are active and working. So say you bet me give you a certain oil be jelly the engines of this machinery of justice. That is what the Ghanaians are looking out for. And yet the emotional conversation be a what in China walking then as a forum. Now the Ghana ni say Ghana ni what do you see can be any day or court. And for me, this whole bill I see there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Any new introduction, any new addition is not a novelty. Just say over the years, it has been sitting on our constitution. No government and any other authority to come up with other implementing tool. But so this particular bill you see, it is only an implementing tool. By implementing what is already in the constitution. That. So President Mahama Baye, and now can say me the your friend is saying tribunal eba. Not tribunal and you share constitution a new thing and I feel order barbe shema. Then we can express worry. I know crowd won't to me because I won't hear quite first why structure your constitution now. Article your friend saying the executive no. I come under article 290. Entrenched clause. And any amendment be a woyan or mubia, no, you need to go through a hell of a process. So it's not something the president can just sit and say, I'm amending the constitution. That power will ultimately come back to Ghanaians. I can't question 10 and 7 months for I can say 10 bill. 10 number baswa a Ghana for because it has to go through a referendum before anything can be possible. So all these some of these in the political agenda. I mean, when you watch some of these things, men waste still time. Dr. Bawumia, this is time for him to build credibility. Party no lead, the party now baby. Atetia pansam and some hunu be baby and their parade near press conference. Press conference, lawyer ne kasa sometimes utien some more kasa krabia afro kasa basa. You're unable to convince anybody. But political communication should be such that the objective should target Obia only side to convince that particular person. But in recent times, if you look at the communication the MPPs are embarking on, when they speak, you get angry. So instead of engaging, they are rather disengaging. You are not winning. You understand? So we a leader. You need to sit down and strategize how I'll bet you are communicating because you are coming from a background that what's say or my Ghana for Bofu And for you to be in their good books, your communication, you need to sound in a way that sound appealing. Who say what no now your friend saying when given the opportunity, you will do something different. But when you approach the conversation with arrogance, you approach it with aggression, and it's devoid of logic, reasoning, and common sense. None answer okay can sem no gum there now radio so boom 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 boom. I say ni party be aso but come not to radio station. I can't sem no gum sana. At the day and serve any purpose. So I think they need to calm down. Just analyze everything from a very holistic point of view. No muhu baby a party ni eto sini because and communication TikTok for Nigeria and now quite tem DNA na se for no more and that particular it will not win you because and my culture says space and everybody there are no consumers of news. You are prosumers. You are producing and consuming at the same time. So you have a Facebook account, don't you post? So you are making news. You read Obinsu there, you are consuming. So we are all prosumers. You understand? Making news. So you cannot control it as it used to be. Technologies are obinya kwenya bi kwatena radio station bi no kan say no. And no all kind of anunsi no be expose you. So you need to do extensive research. Make sure that your back is against the wall. Asamna wo kan no nyansa wom. Nyansa wom a woka akora be hu se panyini na kasa. Now if you get to a point where panyini kasa, for instance ruling aba wo so we a lawyer unyan kan ruling now akwagina abontina we press conference nyansa sembe na obetimi aka convince reasonable people apart from say o party base na ombebo age so, and those things don't win elections. So for me I think say omo ankasa omo jajireje, but they need to be responsible even in the opposition. Sabaya Ghana for Benya Hotoso say eto de na se nema nkoye wo NDC a political party bit in China wabuan ho are responsible, but up to now I am not sure the MPP has proven responsible enough. And this NDC mess up krana, it may even go in their advantage. Because until Ghana for who say we are ready, nobody will give you power, especially the whole more level on the conscience of Ghanaians relating to the bad governance Akufo-Addo left in this particular country. It's still there. So for me, I think that is up to them. Tribunals, there is nothing wrong with it. It is within the context of the law. Nothing, any new addition. Okoye Constitution, Article 100. Your friend said 26 court hierarchy nesi no okanya regional tribunal ka ho e kire wo kwan ye fa so say appointed everything about it. Bill ntimi mfa anything new are contrary to the constitution. The only thing they need to do is to confer jurisdiction on which court who appointment ya okay. Some kind a bit chiro. Say nipa no until so qualified to be a high court judge, you cannot sit. And this is a whole vice president Bakachiro say ya confer farmers ne cocoa farmers some mo be we nyansa be ne.
Augustine Osampa or say Ivan on point. NDC is resetting Ghana. Ivan Che Innocent, a social commentator, youth activist. And I no high and education and come up. Otisamo, my memory also. Na yenhwe a year tribunal bill 2026. Mrashebe for kwa setna 17 July 2026. Womo apasi despite boycott by the minority caucus. Yenhwe amu chemi say emwa solution ani says yes a backlog of cases. And I say cases are court no adoso a Penifo say yen sisi court adan bebre. Yen digitalize system no. Yen fa a lawyer for bebre. Anu nkuto ne betimi aboa na mum tribunals ne de. Omu hu se bill no from so ho de but omu se de bibie si penti. Bill no me yen fa mba. Tribunal bill yen ne den.
Yo me da say etoda na ebi ma say timamfo nkrofo bebre hwe amayofo like say yen no correct. We keep on shifting the goalposts when it suits us. But that's unfortunate. Mekai etiefo say Ghana the year 2000 omanpanyi dada John Ajekunkwufo abefa my way as the president. Now the mantra Bosha mind said there was going to be zero tolerance for corruption. Katashisheni prayer die omuma ho kwan ewo MPP abaimo. And chair biara na ye hu say under them it was worse. No mamu ye. Now in 2001, Abrea Chief Justice Edward Kwame Wuredu ono abreso ena omo be ka kire mindful say yen courts choked and some were 10 years 15 years na and some were court ye dia konia basa yen ye enti omoko created the fast track high court. Now fast track high court no, it was not created by an act of parliament. Enye mrasha bedroom and omako chichiri mrase ye establish the fast track high court. Na ye ahondin bia the chief justice justice Redu Edward Kwame Redu na bresu omumukia omudi created the fast track high court. In Chiremo mind say the fast track high court no an arm of the high court omube refer special cases biama omu. Maybe cases land disputes yedi amaha, cases relating to ebia illegal mining yedi maha, armed robbery because mukaya before MPP ba wini aba in 2000 no. Now adibechim biara no matter heko in other parts of this country. Now we say oba edaho, oba fono daho. Na twitwa ne baby. And they created the impression that there was serial murder of women. Now, in the last address, His Excellency the late President John Rawlings, J.J. Rawlings by no. Now, Oshenifugu black and white, I watched him live. And I say, J. Kufuor Ashebo say immediately the MPP won power. Say MPP did winning about 2000. Sa Mbakunku in quote, the serial killing of women will stop immediately.
Yeah.
And Rawlings besides say, how many more women should we lose until you gain political power? If you had the means, what are you waiting for? Or was it that they knew what was behind it? And Madodo Ben Nebesa Wu or Michael Pim say, J. Kufuor be president. Se unni mo kwaina ebesi anoa, die na utisu, ana unni muhumbi bi. Echre ebise ayefunu na ya omota koyi free mortuary ekoyesa. They did all kind of things to win political power. That's the group of people we are dealing with. Ghanaians shouldn't forget at all. So in Crawford here, their mentality can be extremely dangerous to this nation. Now in 2001, Omodis have fast track high court by, and they saw how they used it. You see, there were people who caused financial loss to the state. I sorry them to Dominus Vobiscum and a krim just recently, Honorable Question, this government, MPP Abana Afra, we're going to try a member of parliament on daily basis because omo here outcome no term to know not a joda branda kuda ya wada fida memri da nyina da biara obeko court because there were too many cases in the court. Omo pese or omo clear. And Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia can say he acknowledges that there is a backlog of cases at our court. Ghana for ye ran free the stinking Ameri deal. And Crawford occurring negotiate omo inflated cross na yachi o man penyin na do dan kwa Akufo-Addo and then about the chair Dr. Bawumia. The embassy they were going to renegotiate that Ameri deal to reduce the cost, but they ended up inflating it. That criminality was arrested in parliament. We have not finished talking about it. PDS and some among Ghana for Bisa say PDS and some no dieng ne ye fa ho. And some bebre esio ma we mo Ghana for ana ye shombo say we are going to recover all the loot. COVID mo komoko for buy. COVID became a windfall. Omo jiji sika fra sofo. Omo jiji fra corporate entities ho. Omoji sika mo tam sika fra ba futuom. And omo ankasa ba bonten be kire yen say sika no mo chicha ma party mpanyifo, party chairman jiwudie, parliamentary candidate jiwudie, they are all on tape. The videos are there. Feeding, they say one hot meal no Baku ba bonti say teku ene etua. Minister no said the be yentro teku miensa. You see the disparity and the dishonesty with which they ruled this nation. The Ghanaian people, 38% of them supported that criminality. And then Ghana for Cheng say, da bene ebeti PDS asam. Da bene ebeti COVID sikana irasam. And the several other scandals that engulfed this nation, that ground into that carnage. So Ghanaians are willing already. And to be able to meet that response, that target, we needed to fast track the issues in court. Because at this pace, you better wait 4 years, now you can do PDS, now you can do Ameridil and the other ones. So just like MPP Aba in 2001 thought that they needed a special arm to fast track. So, here, fast track, I go to fast track. Yati brofono, fast track. Just some way and temp. Now, man, for moon contact. Maybe the objective was persecution. I cannot tell. But maybe hindsight, the benefit of hindsight, I'm going to say, hey, say, yeah, the fast track high court, now Victor Solomon, one of them, jail and tem there. Ebia. Now, ya kukuru, ofuriata aba. Obano static kasa, we are going to get more and more and more of the MPP activists jailed, and so they are frightened. Say at this rate, you know, issues will be very slow. Mukaso 2 years in Adrini, then we dig deep into our own constitution. Young for Chief Justice Antek Anshemra, we've gone to the Mrasha Bejua to revive an organ that helped us to, you know, say, I remember, how will I say, your justice delivery by contempt. And we are going to do it consistent with the constitution and the laws of Ghana. So be say, yeti tribunal, not what bobbing because what tribunal paying. People on conform what the bonnet, tribunal, what the some and a sutuya bantino, yeti tribunal. Look, Minia. When I look at Rwanda and Paul Kagame, I see a democracy that is laced with a little bit of grit, you know, a bit of ahonding at their democracy, because too much freedom na man for about them. Look at what is happening on TikTok and other social media outlets. Obi ati bia kotenase, obi a wanyantite papa wo fie. Sebi obi na busuam kura kafra. Sebi onyanya assembly member ko na busuam. No betina say no atwena no and quick and not the doma penyata no can some, and they think that is how they stay popular in their political orientation. It's unfortunate, you know. So and now uti say abai penny for ba yenye sanitation yenye clean up, nobody cares because be ansuro. Those days, look, minia na miti dibi afre lampo. Yes, Lampo for bow. Yema minimum tenefie. All right. And I thought Lampo was a soldier because we had gone through the revolution, and the revolutionary days now. Be a tea, 5 minutes to curfew. And don't worry, it's my blood is warm, so it's okay. Yeah, sure. So, uti say tangas for ba. Ah, who are you to litter? So bad didi now I will fear poto tangas. Actually, remember who said Tangas near town council. You know, this health sanitation for you. Ya bad na yesi Tangas for chiwa. Pupu say. Yesi CDR for bow. Ya do call council. Ye. That was the level of discipline. You can call it fear. You can call it intimidation. But NIPA doesn't need absolute freedom. Look. Me humbe our humame more. They said the freedom that comes through ignorance enslaves the one who entertains it. There is so much freedom, people don't even know the source and its effect. So the issue of the tribunals, you know, anamoa or minor abino etu, consistent with the promise I might say, we will take legal, all proper means to recoup. To say about withdraw sekana omawanyina. And the PDS me train that besides at your account to be PDS me train 70 wasam. But national service, ni one in go court to give to one in go court. There is no time. So it is good to activate the body cameras, the judicial arms, the wings. The tribunal will come. It has come. On my penny best science. Yeah. Now, I'll put it to you, no. And me, Samora, and I'm got in a court to become a judge. Median say, me she say, and no Quebec by a Juma. And the good thing is that even the leadership of the MPP, I see the organizer, I see the general secretary, none of those who are lawyers. And yet, you know, kita constitution. Say yanka law brofo akesa kese no kura brofo nkitinkiti na yede akọ GSS ye ho no na no mude atujua. So let the system work. And when Chachu Chikata challenged the constitutionality or the unconstitutionality of the fast track high court, ya honi esi on my way mo. At the time the Supreme Court had a 9-member panel. And now omuko court no or we need the first case 5-4. With the lawyers, the judges arguing, say it was unconstitutional and called parliament. I Justice Redu and ordinary because of they had a certain agenda. But then so Shebo said he would do everything to overturn that decision. And we saw the appointment of 2 lawyers, justices, Afra and Lamte, and we saw what happened. They overturned that decision, and by people were jailed. Then it was Ghana. So there is so much on the table. And Dr. Bawumia now, Nankasati Horny, Ofurata, Adria, Omaye, or Ghana Hano. Mesra no onye kum. Say, and who be nation mo, and only can call Attorney General Kasa no crow. I didn't about Muriba Assembly ba, Misu Mafaka crowd, Mufaba. Ebia, because of the dignity associated in the vice president position, we may not announce it. But play back Ebia na man of that, consideration. But for me kind memo na free parliament. Me share the articles in United Chiria. It is all consistent with law. Abra ye frame constitution, 1992 constitution. The framers think say there were some very important ingredients be as say roll over into the Fourth Republic, you know. Now one now more MPP now kaburofo no. They boycotted. So mu nyansa echeng Abraham ni Solomon. Enti omuni afitafoɔ adwadefoɔ ne hwan teacherfoɔ to make tenase ehihye mrama Ghana. Samra no eno ena omudi adi oman we so. So we are going back into the very depth of that foundation, the constitution, and looking for a way out. Say going forward, tribunals in the beba. Now operation recover all lieutenant kind. You better so follow all the issues one by one by one. Consistent with law. At the end of the day, wa boni no ebechu aso. Wa nye boni yaja wa makofie. Then obi biara o Ghana obanya kwenya be kan say, you don't need your political connection, you don't need your influence, you just have to be honest and transparent in your dealings. So that whether they bring a tribunal or a fast track court or a slow track court or whatever court, when you are clean, you are clean. And that's the bottom line.
Oti Samu, no, Sakina Razak say Oti Samu more fire. Perfect delivery. Eti also message or diaba. I don't know. I would do Saka or see good afternoon radio go team, animal rights lawyer and your crew out there. Ivan, are you cool? My name is Kamba Rindolph, watching you live from outside Ghana. Good submission by Ivan. In fact, he needs to be fixed in some part of NDC government to tap his knowledge. He is very intelligent. And the message or the about no. Message is Edorson. PC about Sebra. Pacho menstrual pains and poor flow. And I say waist and back pains, male vitality, poor vision, infections. PC about your award-winning herbal clinic. Yaribia Beko be non sanfa yariano. Enko ifi ombeji yariane umbe tu yariana sekura and san obekufi awako. I feel a trim moment bonabaso. In Virginia, you know, some 24 san bonabaso. And TPC about the mammy enzima or Juma papa or tramodin machines no dear Juma, share yaria woni peduan mansana, or the drubia becca or the accounting lucidie, habama any nubina enkuto, me pacho, ocean and cry ha, or ne a Medina social welfare gate in a dear Michelle Sanson attack radisono, or ne Air Force Station Basis Kunu in dear Michelle 0540. 740 740 0540 740 740 and I say 0542 995 997 0542 995 997 or delivery services within and outside Ghana. PC Aba or say one time quick. Palm Hills natural mineral water in so kama. Oba fie ha e dispenser abako abonten o so ni bisiso. Opedie hye opedie nyu bubi no a kama papa. Yes say water has no taste but Palm Hills natural mineral water in so no de. Aha. Mr. Robert me asend one water message yes also from 0555 64 1318 0555 64 1318. Palm Hills bottled water. Or say refresh your day, drink more, live long. Palm Hills. Or say your healthy choice. Now one more near the hopper. We say shine your eye. I say the same one here. Email sending messages be wait me akot click swa. Beko fa some at the amount. And that's over responding to messages be no be say akwa bibi ho. Frosters create fake website. Te say a year CBG for a website. You know, or home bet me send no link asking you to verify your details. I'm sure one year you risk losing access to your account once you enter your information. And when they do that, they take control over your account. And the answer now be click check a link carefully. Never click suspicious links. Say link with dear no kumia so Mr. One way ya Robert Wasemu. Mr. You can visit any nearest CBG branch and answer on website or ebia who sa links ni bi fa we bra ye say bra ga da bi www.cbg.com.gh small letters and chodi anke 20 binkuto www.cbg.com.gh and I say wait me after 0302 216000 0302 216000 for more information. Mr. Shine your eye, spot the fraud, and stop the fraud. CBG, obviously we stand with you. Ivan, and you know, Yango Point Aduma or China Media Budget Review, no?
Yes.
Basso 2026 Media Fiscal Policy Review. Finance Minister, best 2 we are Obeko na Wakokenkai. With your fire wrap-up comment na sorry so
yeah, I think that it's very important Ghana for at any point in time bet me who the mind so they see cause they seek us because do not be apprehensive when kind of for a turn and name or my economy ni etikusi as no the expectation and say nema or turn around I think say o2 when now 2025 2026 now go back to 2023 2024 definitely you see say there has been a significant appreciation economy no baby and nema nkoye mai ni nyina no nema shasia epic confidence once again is returning because one of the metric over the years here used to gauge whether the economy is doing well no the CD and the dollar and it has been relatively stable for quite some time now market fluctuations na on terms of import and as for no a bit we kakra your debt to your GDP and also why you stabilize in the Abasa, the government in your opportunity to create other opportunities for young people. They are looking forward to a creative platform. I bet me absorb a lot of jobless young people out there because on my be a majority of young people in Juma Yebiano a posu national security threat because unhu akokora wadi 70 years or Timothy so kobokro no that tem bia ni nyina koba e be mrantie so I think that should be the focus of this particular government making sure aban bia ni ho baba obetima build the structure be for bia but to a certain degree no with me fabi na yetimi eboa private sector no page omumu no so mutimi omoye the engine of the economy no mutimi absorb a lot more people me sure a problem now over the years yet so better because Obia ni baby or bechichiro mind way. Young Cassan never because America was built by Americans through ingenuity, through your friends saying idea almost they went through trial periods and then as a forum. Young so no over the years and we've been wandering around using this politics as a means of dividing ourselves. Instead of saying about war mine or buya bum be quitty binum we name we train sign that kind of way. And I think that the budget to inspire hope. Sabaya Ghana for Benyani so Sabaya Drew no, there is no going back. We are just building on, and that is what I'm looking up for tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. And see Ivan Che Innocent, a social commentator, youth activist.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Now so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.